All right, this question here is, does alcohol mess with your bones or your body long term? Short answer, yes, it does. So we'll talk about the bones first. So the primary cause of bone loss in women is going to be the decline of estrogen during and after menopause. So the levels are going to drop right off. For men, it's going to be the decline of testosterone, which is going to happen through aging. Men lose about 2% per year after the age of 20, and they're said to be in andropause, say around 70, 75, when the levels of testosterone have dropped below a certain level. Natural aging is also going to increase bone loss as people get older. They're not as active as they once were. Maybe their diet's changed. So we can say that yes, some bone loss due to aging and hormone levels is expected. It's just going to be a natural part of the aging process. But what if you're a bit younger, like in your 30s and 40s? Well, it could be things like disease. Maybe you've got diabetes. It could be insufficient diet, so you're lacking in calcium and vitamin D in your diet. Maybe you're eating more junk food. You're not cooking meals at home. Now, if you throw in heavy drinking into that, the bone loss can be accelerated. So alcohol interferes with the absorption of calcium into the body. And the other factors around alcohol is that it's a diuretic, meaning it's going to make you pee more often. So as you're drinking, you're going to pee. The body wants to get rid of the alcohol byproducts. So your urine output increases. And that has a tendency to bring along nutrients and other minerals that get washed out with the alcohol. Alcohol can also upset the digestive system. So, maybe you've had a big night out, you've had something to eat, but the next day you've got your hangover and you're sitting on the toilet, not vomiting, but maybe, well, vomiting and pooing, and that's going to, basically purge all that goodness that you ate during the previous drinking session. Maybe you had a really good meal, maybe you went out to dinner, nice dinner somewhere, you were eating good stuff, but because you've got this hangover, um, and you're pooing and maybe vomiting, all of those nutrients are going to be lost. All right. Add in poor diets, if you don't have a nice meal. So a poor diet while you're drinking, we tend to dig into the potato chips, for example, or the beer nuts. Or we're driving home from the pub and we see KFC or Hungry Jack's, and we drive in and if we can drive, we get hold of some junk food. That's going to be lacking in calcium, vitamin D, and other essential nutrients that we needed. So you combine that with the drinking, the effects are going to be compounded. A certain amount of weight-bearing exercise is also needed for the body to lay down bone. So, walking, running, jogging, and obviously lifting weights are going to help us lay down bone. And, people with physical jobs are not going to experience the bone loss, but a sedentary office worker might experience bone loss. Older drinkers who are retired and also sedentary, they could be, also immobile due to poor health. They're going to be candidates for bone loss. You throw in medications for those health conditions, like certain types of steroids. If people have got diabetes, if they've got thyroid disease, and there are other factors that are going to throw the balance of bone loss out the window. So, that's bone loss. What about the rest of the body? Well, alcohol is well known to be implicated in 7 different types of cancer, including the mouth, the upper throat, your voice box, the esophagus, the food tube, breast cancer in women, liver, bowel cancer, problems with the mind, like your brain, cognitive decline. So your clarity of thought is not good. Your levels of concentration aren't good. Speaking of the brain, stroke risk, I should say, dementias, anxiety, depression, all of these things increase with alcohol in the system. High blood pressure. And because you've got high blood pressure, your heart's working harder, and alcohol damages the heart muscle. Poor old liver, the liver suffers. And as time goes on, heavy drinking, you can develop scarring in the liver, which leads to cirrhosis and liver failure. Inflammation in the body. I had things like high blood pressure. I had inflammation showing up in my blood tests, all because I was drinking. Blood sugar imbalances, diabetes, I think we've mentioned, and the list goes on. So yes, alcohol can certainly mess with and will aggravate your bone loss, and it could also lead to damage and disease in your body. The more you drink, the longer you drink over time, the more chances are that you're going to have issues with bone loss and disease and general loss of health as you drink more alcohol.